Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is a super simple Cheats mini journal from a dollar store notebook, plus a giveaway, so stay tuned at the end to find out how to get one. This is a really simple, fun craft out of a dollar store journal, and I'm going to show you how to make it. Lots of little pages, a nice map, a tie that goes around. This one's made out of suede. A nice stamp on the front. Let's get started. I've pre-cut everything that you need, and this is just a little composition book, a mini composition book. I think they come in packages of 3 or 4 at the dollar store. So for $1.25 you get 3 or 4 of these little books. What you want to do is you want to find the middle of that book, and we're going to be taking out the stitches. I used a craft knife here. You could use scissors, and it probably would have been better with scissors actually, now that I'm looking at myself doing it. Scissors would have been a lot easier, but we're just going to pick at the thread of the book, and it's not through on the other side, so we're just going to keep on picking a few of them, and then you'll see that I start pulling the cover away from the pages. This is a really sharp knife, so if you are going to use a knife, use a nice sharp knife. And that's about it. Now we're just going to pull the pages away. They come away so easily. Peel away all the extra thread. And a few more pages to go, piece of thread. And there we go. So we're just going to set those pieces of paper aside. We're actually not going to use all of them, but most of them. So here we have the little mini composition book deconstructed. We're going to cover the front with glue, and we are going to put our map on it. I use Amazon's basic all-purpose school glue. It comes in big tubs, 2 at a time. It's super cheap. I find that works really well. I'm just using an old magazine to help keep my area clear from glue, and here we go. I am just gluing like a mad woman here. Make sure you get all the edges, that's the biggest part, right on the spine, and using a magazine really lets you go over the edge, and you won't worry about ruining your work surface or anything like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. Turn the page of a magazine to a clean page. I'm just going to grab out my map. So these pages are cut roughly, I think it's about 4 by 6 or so. But you really just want to measure the book cover. So you could do this with any composition book. You just want to measure the size of the book when it's splayed out that way. I'm going to put it right down here. This is a nice map of Japan. I love maps, so I have lots of old atlases. Great thing to buy at thrift stores. And what you're going to do is I'm just going to take my bone folder and just push out the glue, any air pockets. And I'm really using a lot of pressure here because I want my page or my covers to look nice and flat without any bumps. And I flatten down that spine as well. I have some sticky stuff, just trying to get rid of it, but that's fine. You could cover the inside as well as an extra step, but this is just a really fast little journal, and I didn't do that. So on the front, I do the same. Not so much pressure because I don't want to rip my cover. And you can see I have a little bit of shifting there, and probably I could have cut my page a little bit bigger, but I didn't. So there's my book. Looks pretty good so far. Again, I'm just going to fold out everything. Once I've folded it in half, it moves a little bit. And you can see that it's still quite wet because of the white glue I used, and I can push the page a little bit and cover a little bit more of the cover. I'm a bit more happy with that. And then I'm going to just make sure that it's down flat again and dries nice and flat. It's always handy to have a wet cloth, so you can easily just wipe your bone folder. That's what I'm doing there with a damp cloth, just so you don't get any glue on the outside of your project. And that's perfect. So we'll just cleaning up the area from any glue residue that's there. And we're ready for the next step already. The book's almost done, really. Just wiping off any glue from the outside with that damp cloth. You'll see here I have a little bit of the side showing, but I'll show you how I'm going to cover that up later. So I really like using paper that has patterns on both sides or colors on both sides, because in a mini journal like this, it's really nice to have that extra color and extra patterns in the book. And I just kind of go crazy. I have them kind of match, but kind of don't match. And I think if you use that rule, they'll always match and they'll always seem like it's a perfect mistake, which is always great in bookbinding. So you can see I have my my cover, it's a one signature book really, and this one signature is going to have 4 colored papers. And here I'm using a cornering tool, really handy tool. I'll link it in the description. And I'm going around and I'm cutting the corners at a 1/2 inch. That's what the tool does, 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch, because that matches the pages that came out of the mini composition book, and it makes it look more professional. So those are done, and I'm just making sure that my book fits in. I have my pages, kind of playing around with my pages, because as you can see at the top, there's some pages that weren't used. It was getting too thick. So I'm just moving all the pages around to the right thickness, making sure that they're exactly where I want them. And this is going to be a 5-hole pamphlet binding, very simple binding, similar to the 3-hole. And there you have it. There's a giveaway. So stay tuned to the end for details of my giveaway. I'm going to give away 2 of these journals to lucky subscribers, but there's a little bit of a catch. So anyway, I'm just putting the holes into the spine area of my one signature, making sure they're going all the way through. I'm using my awl tool, which is a very sharp point. I'm clipping the pages together with a binder clip, just so they stay together when I stitch. And here I'm lining up the book with the book cover, and I'm literally just taking the awl and roughly trying to get the exact position of my 5 holes from my signature. And I'm going to push through and make sure those are all the way through, nice and clean. The awl is really good. If you don't have an awl, you could use a pin, anything sharp that you could use. Awls aren't very expensive, so if it's something that you're going to be doing bookbinding, I really recommend getting an awl, just because they're so sharp and they can go through very lots of layers of paper. So there is the book cover, ready for stitching. I use a curved needle, like I've said before, and I'm using some wax linen thread on this project. I measure, I think I did about 4 lengths of the whole book, plus a little bit extra just to make sure I always have enough. So starting with the middle hole, you're going to pull your thread through, leaving a little bit of a tail in the middle of your book, and we'll use that to tie it later. Then working your way up the book, we're just going in the next hole and through. We're working our way up, so we're going to go back from the inside out to the top of the book. Pull it nice and taut, not too tight, but nice and snug. And then we're going to work our way back down. So you'll see once you're doing your own where to go, because there'll be a gap in the thread. Now what you want to make sure of here is don't go in the middle hole. Skip over the middle. Skip over the middle. It's an easy mistake. So skip over the middle, and now you'll turn it over. You don't want to go back and up. Don't go there. We want to work our way down the book now. So we're going to work our way down. So from the outside back to the inside, nice and taut, in through the next hole, working our way back up to the center. And now you'll see when you turn the book over, there's only one more spot to go to finish a complete row of stitching on the outside of our book, and that's the middle hole. So once we get to the middle hole, I'm just looping it under one of the next little sections there, and we are going to tie it. So I have a piece of thread on each side of that vertical piece. And I always like to give a nice double knot. And we'll trim these. Perfect. So your book's pretty much done. We're going to do a bit more trimming, but for the most part, it's looking pretty good. And remember, you can use any types of papers to fill these. I always like keeping the pages that it comes with because they are striped or lined paper. But yeah, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the corners of the map from my cover just to make it look more professional and match that outside curve. I'm going to do it for the 4 corners. Again, I'm just using a really sharp knife. I can link my favorite knives as well. I think this is an Olfa knife, Olfa knife, Olfa. Yeah, I'm just trimming my the map that's overhanging a little bit on the bottom. I'm just really eyeing it and using the harder part of the book as a guide on where to trim and where not to trim. And the last 2 corners, zip that around. This would make a really nice gift for someone. They're perfect to have in your purse. They are so versatile. Using maps, I love because it's like a little travel journal. Keep one in your glove compartment. Always have a notebook. So remember that little part I wasn't happy with on the side. I'm using washi tape to go over the outside edge. I love washi tape. I have a shoebox full of washi tape. Washi tape is a Japanese style tape. It's nice because it's very delicate but very, I guess, durable at the same time. It's easy to fold around things like I'm doing here. It's super easy to rip though. Ooh, my scissors just fly in here, but it's easy to cut, but I also could have ripped it. I ripped it off of the main roll there. And it's nice because you can use it to hang up things like in your art room, like little pieces of art, little pieces of paper that you might want to stick to the wall. I love it. It comes in so many patterns. So I really like this design. It's a cute little washi tape on the side with some red flowers and kind of an oriental theme. I'm lastly going to stamp a flower stamp onto here. I always liked using a stamp, as you've seen in my stamp video, in my journaling, in my journals and my journaling. And here I just push it down straight up. I'm just using straight black. And there you go. I'm really happy with that. I think it looks really great. You could have used a horse stamp. If you had a horse stamp, this could have been a place for a horse stamp, really. And it's kind of an inside joke from my last video. If you saw that on stamping, I didn't mean to say anything negative about horse stamps. Horse stamps are great. So lastly, what I want to do is I want to do a tie on this book. And I'm just using a little piece of suede, but I'm using my awl again to poke the hole. And I'm roughly putting it in the middle of the book. And there's my little piece of nice suede. It's actually faux suede cord. I'm just going to push it up through and tie a little knot. If you notice, I did a little, cut off a little edge so it would go through the hole better. So a bit of a point. And just a simple knot. I could have put an eyelet through there as well, but this is just making a really simple little book, so I decided not to. Wind it around a few times. And my cord is a lot longer than it needs to be. But I didn't have a charm handy, so what I'm going to do is I'm just doing, and I don't know if this is called like a bishop's knot or a monk's knot or something like that. Should have probably looked that up before I demonstrated it. But it's just a really cool little knot, a great way to finish off any sort of tie like this. I remember tying my Sperry topsiders like this as a teenager way back when, the little leather laces on there. But it translates really nicely to bookbinding. And I did look up the name of it a long time ago, and it was something like a bishop's or a monk's knot or something like that. Anyway, you just wind the cord around itself and out through the top after you've created a loop, and trim off the extra. I should have zoomed in on that, but if anyone has any questions, let me know and I can do a better video on that. So I finished the book. Looks pretty cool. Looks like a great adventure book. And it's done. I mean, we've just created a little Cheats journal from a dollar store notebook. And you should be really proud of yourself. Remember to subscribe, give us a like, and hit that bell button. You'll get notified every time we post a new video. But wait, there's more. I want our channel to start having a lot more subscribers. So I want to give away 2 books to whoever can get some of their friends to subscribe to our channel. Details are below. Thanks for watching.